in Main Street is already dead. We were bleeding out.
If they get worse for 6 months, the people that recently
you could give somebody prednisone, they might feel better, but they'll still die out. It only treats the symptoms, right? What we have been doing
we gotta take people not that is treating the symptoms. Got it. James. And then
in this room, I'm gonna be completely anti most people in this room, and I'm fine with that. Like normal, I'll take the heat, but I'll get my point out, and I'm done because the rest of this room, except maybe Cliff, is gonna pretty much hump fucking Trump and act like this is just the greatest thing ever, and he hasn't done everything he needs to do. He didn't do mass deportations to try to make home prices come down by opening up a ton of homes. We haven't seen a lot of the things. We've got farmland. We've got farmland being stripped by the federal government right now and taking ranchers' fucking lands from them, and yet we're like, oh, well, we got tariffs and everything's just going to fix itself in 3 months. The fuck it is.
Nobody said that.
You just did say it would fix in 3 months. You did too.
Look,
no, I haven't actually.
Can I just say a couple of things real quick? All right, number one, you guys, I understand what Trump wants to do, and I understand that you're all behind the way that he's trying to do it, but this isn't what most Americans signed up for. Trump said he was going to come in and fix it, and things were going to be better very quickly, and that's not what he's doing. This is not something that's going to happen quickly, and it is going to hurt the American people because things are going to cost more money, and the economy is going to get worse. So, and I understand you're saying, well, we need to take our medicine now so that we'll be better later. Well, most people are not in that position to take that. And they didn't sign up to take that. They wanted things to be better, but they didn't want to have have things get dramatically worse first. And so if you talk to them like it's not happening to them, or it's not going to happen to them, whether we're all looking at our 401ks getting destroyed over the last few days, right? Everybody's worried about, look, I'm in my late 50s.
How are the job numbers? I know there were paper losses. How are the job numbers, out of curiosity?
They're not paper numbers. When you're in your late 50s and you're looking at your 401k and it's dropping like that, don't tell me it's a paper loss. Because when I'm ready to retire, it's not going to be a paper loss. These are serious problems, okay? And you're minimizing them. That's a serious problem. And maybe jobs have, I've seen things under Biden when the job numbers were better, and you guys didn't care. I'm just telling you. It's always. I know. It's always. Look. It's always. It's always.
Let me ask you a question.
It's not just. Wait a minute. It's not just retirement. It's not just retirement, guys.
Where were you in 2009 when they were papering over all this, Clip? How come you didn't bitch when Main Street was getting... Wait, just let me ask the question. Where were you in 2009, 10, 11, 12, when Main Street was getting pummeled while they papered over and taxed the shit out of us and fucking turned the printer on full speed? Oh, now you care because all of a sudden you, with your portfolio, is starting to show some losses. What we're saying... And what probably
after
was saying...
After 80% gains in 2 years, which is not normal. But
it's abnormal.
Look, I'm not just talking about I'm not just talking about 401ks, okay? This isn't just about retirement plans. That's where it's starting. Things are going to cost a lot more money. People aren't going to be able to afford it, and it's going to become a problem. And you guys can sit in here and say that it's not going to be a problem, and the American people are going to will take the pain.
It's been a problem for 40 years.
Not like this.
Oh, not like this.
You're right. Not like this. Absolutely right.
It's going up in that 37 trillion in debt.
Guys,
going up in the last 2 days. Tell me, Cliff. Tell me.
They're going to go up. The tariffs just went into effect, Mark.
Tell me which ones.
Tell me what's going on. Which ones? How about automobiles? You don't think they're going to cost more money now?
No, only if you make them in Germany instead of the United States, and Ford's already proven that, so fuck Germany. But let me say this, because I'm probably the poorest motherfucker on this stage, okay? I guarantee that, okay? Everything has gone down, okay? My grocery bill was less this week, as Prodigal spoke about, right? When fuel prices are going down, your eggs, your milk, fucking pork, your beef, You're fucking. When shit goes, what's that tell you? The kitchen table economy is better for fucking Main Street America. I don't give a fuck about the rest of this conversation. That's what's going to matter. Is you're not going to be able to prove to the American people how bad the fucking economy is when they can afford to fucking eat, which they've been barely being able to afford. I'm not fucking like going on a limb and talking about my 401k, my retirement, and all that bullshit. I'm talking about what's really happening in the real world.
I was leading off with that because that's where it's starting, right? But we know the prices on all these things are going to rise because of the tariffs. That's part of the problem. Even Rand Paul, who's a staunch supporter of the president, is against this.
No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
No, he isn't.
He is, but Rand Paul's got the bad. Even for big tech, he doesn't want to control them. He's a libertarian. I like Rand Paul, but he's a libertarian to the extreme.
He doesn't want to deport anybody. How is he a supporter of Trump's? This is when you know you're on the right side of history, everybody. When libertarians, J.P. Morgan, and people like San Francisco tech Democrats, Mark Cuban, are all saying tariffs aren't going to work. This is how you know you're on the right side of history. It's almost satire at this point, and I'm sorry for breaking the line here. I got a small business too, like Aaron, and over the last 2 days, I've not heard a single customer say, "Don't install that $700." Install that $700 faucet. Don't go and find an American-made one. Honestly, it's a Main Street reset. It is not a Wall Street reset, and that is something that's lost on people. James, you just brought up crude oil. It's $63, and I don't want to hear they're gearing up for the summertime. Inflation is very much tied to crude oil, and all it's going to take is Canada to buck, because that's where we get that Alberta crude from and refine it down here. And I don't understand how we're going to have inflation when crude oil might be sub $60 a barrel. You have to look at that. That's where the inflation comes from, everybody. So, and these are not tariffs in a vacuum. This is not 1897, and William McKinley's not president. Deregulation is a huge part of this, especially for small business. Deregulation, Doge, 25% of the GDP of this country comes out of one area code, 202. That's Washington, D.C. Elon Musk, if he's successful and can lob off $1 trillion in spending, everybody, that's going to be a huge piece of this. The House and Senate Republicans, they're married to this Trump agenda now, whether they like it or not. They need an issue to run on in the midterms. They have to make those tax cuts permanent. Okay, that's 50% of it. It's not tariffs in a vacuum. We were a $20 trillion a year customer of the United States. I looked at a chart yesterday. You put all the EU countries together, they're about 19 trillion a year combined. So you're telling it would take all of the EU, it would take all of Asia to devalue their currency and do so much manipulation to inflict reciprocal pain on the United States under this plan. It's not happening, guys. There's just too many things that everybody else has to do as a reaction to to what Trump is doing. They're not all going to gang up and do X, Y, and Z. We've never had our leverage being used as the number one consumer on the planet, okay? China has 2 billion people. 70% of them are peasants. In this country, there's a homeless person in Chicago right now in a shelter who has a $1,000 iPhone with their checking account on it and can buy a $20 item on Amazon. That's power, okay? It's tragic, but it's power. We're the number one customer in the world, and Trump is leveraging that.
I've never heard the word tragic power
okay?
in the same sentence.
That's my take on it. I'm hearing some good stuff.
Dr. Mahmoud, what do you think about this episode of Trump Republicans angry and emotional?
And that's it. There are so many components to this reset. I just gave you a few. How about drill, baby, drill? Energy independence. Every day, Doug Burgum is tweeting about how he's trying to open up offshore drilling, fracking in this country. We're going to be supplementing our energy with Canadian crude oil. We're not going to be dependent on it. all of these things are in place right now. So, let's kind of have a macro conversation instead of talking about, your Robinhood trading account the last 2 days.
Thanks, guys. And Cliff, do you want to...
Should have sold at the
finish up
top.
before I go to Jack?
I mean, I pretty much made
I
the
don't
point I was
understand.
going to
Did
make.
everybody start
And it's
unloading?
this. Maybe you have the patience that you have in this room for this long-term plan. Most Americans don't and didn't want it. That's not what they signed up for. So, you'll see what happens. And it's a very radical thing that he's doing. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't work. But I'm telling you that if it doesn't start benefiting most of the American people quickly, you're going to lose Trump. Well, you can laugh all you want, but that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we signed up for the Green New Deal and for them to shut down nuclear and coal plants and raise oil prices to $1.30. Like, don't have a short memory. When you guys want something, everybody's got to pay for it. You don't call it a tax. Oh, it's a carbon credit. We're going to tax what the cows for. We're going to get rid of gas in New York City. Everything you guys have pushed have been inflationary. Not just the spending, but the actual policies, killing American energy, over-regulation, and not only that, you guys were giving exemptions to foreign countries and trade. How the hell is the EU going to have a carbon market scheme and they're going to exempt their entire domestic industry, but the U.S. has to pay their carbon tax?
I'm going to make
it whatever they want to, but the Biden administration applauded.
I'm going to make this point. I'm going to make
you
this.
guys applaud. How much more is solar and wind energy compared to natural gas?
I'm going to make this
natural gas has been all the gains for reduction in pollution and cheap energy. Don't talk now like you guys have cared about economics. Biden didn't even win all
Prodigal, Prodigal, here's the thing, right? You keep saying you guys as if it's only as if it's only. Wait, hold on a second. I'm trying to respond to you a little bit, right? It's not just Democrats that feel this way. The problem, or leftists. This is part of the problem. Anytime that somebody pushes back on something Trump does, it's the left. Or it's the Democrats. It's always somebody. This isn't just people on the left, and not just Democrats that have issues with this. I already brought up Rand Paul. Even Ted Cruz is not full-throating endorsing this. He even said this can't be a long-term thing that's going on. I'm telling you that you can try and backtrack this and play. What about?
We don't want it to be long-term.
But it is. Okay, this is not you're making a fundamental.
Everybody here said 3 to 6 months. Who wants
It's not going to take 3 to 6 months. This is a massive change in the economy.
France, before this happened, France was robbing its pensions for the second time.
I don't care. Prodigal, I don't care what they were doing in France.
Vietnam
I'm telling you what the guy.
Cambodia already folded.
Okay, look, I can't talk over you, so you let me know when you're done, and then I'll try to talk.
Without any factual basis. China already offered a deal that was better than Trump's first deal that Biden failed to uphold.
Prodigal, you keep bringing this back to Biden, and I'm telling you that this isn't about Biden. This is about what Trump said he was going to do. Okay, I'm trying to explain to you that Trump.
Germany removed its debt for its budget.
Prodigal, listen. Let me make the point.
Now Germany cannot.
Prodigal, let me make the point.
Germany has to make a choice. Am I going to engage in a trade war with the U.S.? Am I going to fund a war I cannot afford? This is not just about economic numbers. It's to make sure our allies align with us.
Prodigal,
U.S. trade and U.S.
I'm going to try to make this.
All you want to.
I can't get a word in edgewise. I mean, and I appreciate you. Look, you're a knowledgeable guy. I'm not trying to go point to point with you.
Fuck him. Just keep
what
talking.
What I'm trying to tell you is that Trump ran on a plan that was to make things better quickly. And you keep talking about how the American people have been hurting for as long as they've been hurting, and they have no money in the bank. If they have an emergency, it could wipe them out. All these things, right? And Trump came in as the savior, that he was going to fix things almost, very quickly, that the Democrats were just idiots the way they were running the government. Just get me back in there, let me do my thing, and in a few months things will be great. Okay? But that's not what's going to happen. Right? So people are going to start.
Time will tell.
Well, no. Time will not tell, because this is not going to be a quick fix.
The scalpel touched the skin and it's bleeding. You go, oh my God,
this is like 2 days.
It's not a quick fix. And you're going to, and if it, I'm just telling you, if it doesn't get better relative.
Cliff, put your money where your mouth is. I'll do the same. I'll bet you $100 right now by September 1st that everybody in America thinks the economy's better. I will bet you right now in this space on record $100 this economy is better by September 1st. So put
And Cliff, hold on. I have a question on this. What's the standard? That's pretty subjective. Can I be the judge? And yes, I do take pride.
Yes, go. You can be the judge, and I'll let Cliff decide what the standard is because I am that confident. I don't care if it's kitchen table fucking.
Wow. I could bet against Cliff's judgment.
How can Cliff decide standard when he said that time won't tell? And obviously, time is going to tell in this.
I said time will tell. That's what I said, not time won't tell.
There's always going to be Cliff's thing. It's always going to be the fucking thing.
Okay. I heard time won't. I retract.
That's fine. I mean, I was probably screaming and probably not listening to what I was saying.
Cliff, just keep going. You got the air. Keep going and finish. Go.
Yeah, look, I'm happy. Look, James, I'm happy to put $100 up. I don't know what the standard is. I'm not doing it for that.
Okay, I wasn't talking about that. Move back. Attack.
Okay.
Go back to your argument.
Fine.
Fuck the
Look,
bet. Go.
Like I said, this whole thing with you guys keep pushing things back to Biden and all your grievances.
You guys, who's
all right,
keep saying you guys tonight,
prodigal,
Cliff.
you keep
Be
prodigal, you keep
Be careful, all right?
HW, we said both sides, Cliff.
Prodigal,
We said you've been
prodigal, you keep going backwards, and
I get a little triggered when you keep saying you guys.
I know, I hear you. I'll try to stay away from the you guys stuff. You're going back to the past. You're blaming predominantly Democrats for bad policy.
HW.
You mentioned that to some degree, but that's not where most of it was. Okay, and the point is that's not what Trump ran on. Trump ran on that I'm going to fix this shit quick. People are already hurting in this country. They are already hurting, and if you hurt them worse, they're not going to be supporting Trump for very long. They're not the core. They're not core like you are. And believe in everything that he's doing, like it's going to work, and that he's a genius, and he's playing 5D chess or whatever the hell it is.
Nobody said that.
But I'm telling you, the American people.
We said bold moves were made that haven't been made for decades.
Look, maybe it works. I'm not saying it won't. You haven't heard me say that.
The status quo, you were dead.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but clearly everyone would like things to get better.
How much are interest payments on the debt? When Trump came in, the 10-year was almost at 5%. What are you talking about? You can look at the numbers.
I'm telling you what the American. I'm talking about the American people.
So let's just admit the economy was not great on the
I'm
Biden.
a prodigal. He speaks for America. Go, Cliff.
Look, all I'm telling you, it's simple, right? If this economy doesn't get better very, very quickly, and people don't start to see very positive changes, not the stock market going crazy, not prices of things still being really expensive, and tariffs coming in that are going to make things more expensive, you can forget it. You're going to lose the people. He's in a honeymoon phase right now, and
you're going to lose Jersey. You're going to lose the midterms, Mark. Forget about Jersey.
There it is.
Done.
He used the honeymoon.
You're done in Jersey, Mark. Cliff said it. You're done in Jersey.
Done in Jersey.
Forget about it.
Hey, Cliff, let me ask you this.
What?
So how's the $37 trillion worth of debt working out for you?
How's it going to be working out when Americans can't afford anything
Answer
else?
my fucking question.
There's no good things going on right now.
No,
okay? I'm just saying blowing up.
Okay, now you're not going to let me talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, hold on. So, Jack, I'm going to go right back to you. I think, see, we talk about this all the time, and if you come on our spaces, which we've been having forever, like for years now, and especially Cliff, who's been great, we've been talking to Cliff about shit that doesn't affect him, right? Well, the past 48 hours has obviously affected him. It's affected me. It's affected a lot of us. But now it's at his front door. So now that the 401, the stock market, now, Cliff, I think you understand when we were talking about the economy, the illegals, the immigration, what was happening. And we said, when it comes to your front door, you're going to care about it. Obviously, we talked more about some crime stuff and immigration, right? And obviously, I think we all hope that never comes to your door. You know, we're talking hypothetically there. But the last 48 hours has come to your door, right? And I'm not an economist, so I'll just go back to Jack. But there's a lot of reasons, listening to Prodigals, everyone else, there's a lot of reasons of why this is happening, including one of them, obviously, being Trump and the tariffs. But it's not solely that. You know, that may have been the precursor to the market, but there's going to be, you know, again, I hate the word geopolitical restructuring here. You know, this is just literally minute one of day one here. But yeah, no, I mean, I get it, Cliff. You know, it's this particular issue has come to your front door, so I get it. Go ahead, Jack.
So Gatson made a great point, which should be emphasized, which is that these tariffs are not operating in a vacuum, right? It's so multifaceted what he's doing, the things that he's doing all at once in blinding speed, right? Hopefully this works. We all agree. Cliff, I agree with you. It's never been done before. A lot of things, a lot of moving parts. So I said it, you know, a couple months ago in space, I said he's trying to thread this needle. It's like a real high wire act. We all agree. Okay. What you're doing, though, which I don't appreciate, as you know, is you're doing you're doing that future fear thing again, right? That's all fucking bullshit. Because this car was going to hit the oak tree at 100 miles an hour no matter what we did. Like, you're arguing over whether it hit
no, we need to say what we did. What was right to have a 401k. We needed to inflate it so he could get his money. The fuck gets it.
Yes.
I gotta be honest. Jack, I'm not a fan of Gen Z, though. Jack,
dude.
Jack,
What?
I'm not a fan of Gen Z. I don't mind sticking them with the bill. I gotta be honest about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of people here that have no problem kicking the can, right? Cliff's talking about, you could have just kicked the can. Cliff, 37 trillion, we could barely service the fucking debt. So there's a lot of things. Hang on. There's a lot of things.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of things going on when we talk about, like, you saw there was cute little videos put on Twitter today about, Trump is going to get the interest rates down and we can renegotiate the debt and save $7 trillion. Here's the thing. It is circular. Because like I said before, all these foreign nations have been dumping treasuries for quite some time. The primary dealers, American investors, institutions have been picking up these bonds and these treasuries. So someone's going to get stuck with the $7 trillion. Unfortunately, they'll probably be within the boundaries of the United States. So there is going to be a lot of pain. None of us in this room disagree with it, but I look at it more like we've been in the trenches for years, and we just dragged some of the generals down into the trench, and the generals are kicking and screaming. Yeah, well, this is how it's been for fucking ever. We're suffering, Cliff. People are suffering. Okay? You're sitting here going, it's going to be horrible. You're going to lose the fucking midterms. Cliff, people get to a point where they're like, we don't give a fuck. Something has to change. Someone's got to rip the Band-Aid off. And what you're doing is you're already trying to lay the blame at Trump's doorstep for trying something different. We cannot just keep printing money.
No, I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm not an economist, and I don't know with what Trump is trying to do is going to work or not work. I've heard arguments for it. I've heard arguments against it. You haven't heard me come out and say that trying to level the playing field on trade is a bad thing. I haven't done that, right? I don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. But what I do know is that he came in on a set of promises to most of the American people that things were going to get better quickly. And that's not what he's doing.
Well,
and if it doesn't get better quickly, I didn't say 3 months, right? I don't know what James and I have talked about this. He agrees with me. There's a sweet spot at some point, right? And after that, if things don't change, then he's going to have a problem. I don't know exactly where that is. But I'm telling you that it's already starting off bad because that's not how he laid this out to the American people. He laid it out like he was going to make it better faster, and now he's not doing that.
Off bad.
You're just talking about the stock market. All these large Wall Street firms are going to have to realign their investments to align with what U.S. policy is now. Either way, there was going to be volatility. Nobody with a brain who invested did not think we were overdue for a recession when the fucking stock market, I keep repeating myself, went up 80% in 2 years, mainly in 7 stocks. This was overdue. How much extend and pretend has been going on in the commercial real estate market? This has been paid. This is stuff where I'm not disagreeing with you, but there was always going to be pain. And to be honest with you, there are always short sellers who are going to take advantage of this. Either way, when you have a fundamental shift in U.S. trade and policy, etc., everybody's going to have to reallocate capital. Everybody's going to have to move there. This is going to happen one way or the other. I think people screaming the sky is falling when for most instances, other than maybe China, I guarantee you most of these countries fold in 3 to 6 months. They have nowhere to go. Their finances are worse than ours, and they've been looting their own pension funds and their social welfare programs for their own citizens. Either that or they're going to have riots when they're still funding Ukraine and they're taxing their citizens for beef because of cow farts. This whole situation has been untenable for a long time. I'm happy that somebody, for the first time in decades, has decided to actually tackle it. The reality of the matter is, I'll end with this, the interest payments alone were unsustainable. Biden chose to finance and leave $9.5 trillion in debt to come due in Trump's first term. He came into office around 5%. Every half a point, the 10-year goes down, that's $500 billion less you pay over 10 years. This is something that's long-term. America's been quarter by quarter for fucking decades with no care about how American citizens and Main Street have been doing. Wall Street's been doing great. The arms industry's been doing great. The empire's been doing pretty good. Americans are bleeding out. And if the only way I'm going to get growth is from deficit spending and importing 15 million illegals over 4 years and pushing wars all across the globe, I'm not going to do it. I'd rather take my medicine now. You're looking at the scalpel going, it's scary, but you're saying the scalpel's you're going to die anyway. If you don't cut open and try to deal with it, you're dead anyway. That's what's going on. You might not want to have that potato explode, but it just means you don't give a shit about the future trajectory of this country or what Gen Z or any generation afterwards going there. And they're not doing good. Every metric is down. Household formation. Look at January. The economy's booming. We had record defaults and credit card payments, and that's on top of record credit card debt. We had record car repos, subprime defaults, etc., etc., etc. This is something anybody with a mind knew. Short the market, there's going to be volatility. He came in, I'm going to shake it up. I'm changing this regime that has bled you dry for decades. Maybe you weren't listening, but he was very clear. You could be right. You could be 100% right. This could go bad, but either way, we were going to die if something wasn't done, and I'm happy he took the move. That's just me.
Great stuff. But let me add one thing real quick, because Cliff keeps talking about, he said it was going to happen fast. I'll remind everybody, we're not even 100 days in. We're not even 100 days in. Jesus Christ, how much faster can you work?
Yeah, this is lightning speed. And
I mean, look, the egg prices came down. Everybody's panicking about that. And your eggs are cheap. People are having omelets. What are you guys freaking out about?
that appeals to most Americans.
Eggs are cheap. Let me go over to Brick, and then I'll come down to... hey, what's up, Brick?
Not much. Hey, I just wanted to chime in with something I don't think has really been mentioned a lot. I think on Bat Jack might have mentioned it in passing, but that is the beneficial effects that the reduction in coupon rates are going to have on the refinancing of the debt and the disproportionate amount of the national debt that is due in the coming 12 months. So everybody knows that we've got like $37 trillion worth of debt, and it continues to increase. But somewhere, I think between $7 trillion and $9 trillion of that debt needs to be refinanced in the next 12 months. So, optimally, you would want to spread your debt out over a time frame so you're doing relatively even chunks per year as time goes on. That's not the current situation we are in right now. A disproportionate amount of that debt does need to be refinanced and refinanced soon. And, this is not a situation where we could wait until after midterms to do the type of correction that's being done now, because we would have been saddled with additional hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of interest payments because we would have to refinance at higher rates. So there's a side benefit to doing it now that not everybody really is looking at. And so when you talk about things like in short term, what's going to be like if you had done nothing not only would you have all the bad effects of the continued tariff imbalance, but you'd be refinancing trillions, $9 trillion at the higher rates. So that needs to be looked at. I've seen people making noise about it. I saw stuff about that, a month and a half ago. I was reading it, but really now that viewpoint is starting to come out, and people now on the opposition are joking about blow up the economy to lower interest rates, as if the economy wasn't already on a road to blow up itself with the higher interest rates. So, you've got to look at the effects of that, and that's when when we see that stuff start to be corrected, that's going to give us a beneficial effect.
Thanks, Brick. Mark, I need some help. The hands come and go from me.
I got it.
I thought I saw
Patrick?
Okay, Patrick.
I can't help but
play it. I do it.
No, I'm not hooked up.
Oh my God! You come in. We have 600 plus people, and you don't play it.
Okay, I'll hook it up in a minute.
Okay,
so,
all right.
You just stay I'm trying to give Mark a break here. We can't bust his balls every day. All day long.
We got a lot of new people in here, and I think they'd love to hear it. That's all I'm saying.
I will agree with Cliff on his point that people have a threshold. Okay, that's the only thing I agree with Cliff on. There's a threshold, and I've been hearing it all day from people that voted for Trump that are freaking out but they don't understand. Okay, they don't understand everything the prodigal said. They don't understand anything that James said. Right? Like it's like absent to them. All they do is react on emotion and fear. Okay, so I'll give him that. Okay, from that perspective, it's not right, but that's how they're reacting to it. And we have a limited time now. James thinks it's September. I think it might be a little longer to that, but I want to point out to Cliff. Hopefully, he's still listening. Okay, prices of gas goes down. The price of all commodities is going to go down.
He has a Tesla. It doesn't matter.
He doesn't have a Tesla. He's a freaking Toyota.
I know. Go ahead.
But I will say that when Elon had his contest the other day, I tried to get one, but I didn't win.
So, Cliff always has... Well, here's the thing. I'm sick of Cliff's fucking thing, okay? Keep your thing in your pants. Keep it away from us. We're tired of hearing it. It's just... It's getting old, okay? Because it's always, here's the thing, okay? Now that I said my piece on that, with Trump, the one thing that kind of stands out to me, he mentioned the surgery thing yesterday. This feels like a controlled demolition. This isn't, the subprime mortgage market. This isn't, bank malfeasance. This isn't all this other bullshit just completely imploding the nation, okay? It's not. It's controlled. It's managed. How much better could it be? Okay, fine. We all got our ass kicked in the markets, myself included, okay? It sucks. But the point is that it's a managed way down to get what we need to do to solve our problems. Who could ask for a better solution, right? Again, this isn't the bomb went off and everything is in chaos, okay? And so the market's reacted the way, I think it's all going exactly to plan. So I'll leave it at that. Trump knows how to blow up buildings and he knows how to build new ones. And that's where we're at.
Thanks. Just a little tactical nuke, Mark. A little tactical,
Yeah, it went from popping a pimple to chemo to nukes.
Can I call him the orange pimple popper from now on?
Oh my God. All right. Johnny. No, Johnny's hand is. Johnny, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, good to hear from you. Good to. What's going? Well, I should not get ahead of myself. There's a 50% chance I'm not going to be able to hear you on your dumb mic. But go ahead.
I'll do my best. Cliff, would you say that Trump so far has fulfilled his campaign promises?
He's fulfilled a lot of them, mostly, regarding immigration.
So he's moving forward with his plan, right? Economic plan. He talked about tariffs before he got elected, right?
Yeah, he is trying to push his agenda. I'm not arguing with you about that.
He's moving forward with his plan as he sees it. He wanted to increase tariffs to try and level the playing field. He wants to try and bring back manufacturing here to America. He wants to, kick the illegals out. He's doing all those things. And he needs some help from Congress. Right now, it's Congress that's a flat tire for him in only 100 days. So, if anything, the downfall to Trump will be his Republican Congress letting him down. Now, I'll just say, hey, the markets have always done this up and down thing. People like to think that sometimes the market is like the Titanic or like a freight train. It takes a long time to get started and takes a long time to slow down. I was always a believer. The market is a race car, rocket ship. It wants gas. Give it gas and it goes, and it can crash just as quickly. And that's what we've seen. So I'm not necessarily. The market doesn't like uncertainty. And right now, Trump is bringing it down an uncertainty market. And everybody says 3 to 6 months. We'll see. I guess time will tell. And, the midterms may not go the Republican way because the Republicans in Congress are going to lose it, not necessarily Trump. But my point being is, Trump is doing everything he said he would do. Now, if the American voters turn on him because of their pocketbook, that could possibly happen. Or it couldn't happen. But right now, Trump is doing everything he promised. And you just have to wait and see how things pan out. And I'll say this, my eggs are still expensive. I'm still paying $6 a dozen.
Okay, thanks, Johnny. Jack, go ahead.
So, I have to throw this in there because I just want to be on record. The Bank of International Settlements, right, Basel III is coming in July, right, where gold is going to be a tier 1 asset for the first time in fucking forever. So, and Trump with his little messaging, his little cryptic fucking messaging, been calling this the golden age. I think everyone's reshoring their gold, right? So, which is kind of scary because that could be because they're getting on a war footing, right? These nations think that, there's a real war in the future, and everyone is reshoring their gold ports, right? Nationally, all the sovereigns are doing it. This isn't just the United States. It's happening globally. Everyone's pulling their gold home. I do believe that Trump is a firm believer in being a first mover, right? So we've reshored all our gold. That's a fact. Anyone who's been watching the market knows that all the gold is coming home. So we reshored all our gold. China's been buying gold forever. Whoever backs the currency with a percentage of gold, it doesn't have to be gold backed. We're probably talking like a 40% gold backing. Once you see that, that's going to bring confidence back to that currency. Whoever pulls that off first is going to be a big winner. And I just have this sneaking suspicion that Trump has this in his game plan. If you heard Vicente, I still.
Hey Jack, just real quick. I have to step out for a minute. When are we going to go into Fort Knox and audit it, man? I've been waiting on that. What's going on?
We've got to wait till it all gets back from London, don't we?
Yeah, that's what I think. Okay.
Right. Well, because I think that Fort Knox, the Treasury literally loaned this gold out, leased it out to these banks who rehypothecated it for the last 30 years. They've been leveraging out our gold forever. Like, they used it as a financial instrument, right, to back their own little fucking investments and their borrowing schemes. Everything has been levered up, right? So the danger that Cliff's talking about that is very real is this massive deleveraging, right? When you extinguish debt in a debt-based economy, quote unquote, you extinguish the economy. Like, this is Keynes. This is Keynesian economics. It's what everyone fucking signed up for when Nixon took us off the gold standard. So this is where we're at. So if he's bringing all this gold back, and maybe we back the dollar with a certain amount of gold, maybe there's a repricing of gold. That's why everyone, people who know me, I've been saying, get your hands on some gold. Get invested in a physical gold trust or something of that nature, because it's becoming proven all over again, 50 years later, that gold is the only true store of value. Bitcoin's been doing a pretty good job, but it's that's still up in the air. We're not sure about that. Gold is the place everyone's gone over 5,000 years. So keep an eye on the gold market. I think it'll give you a good idea of how things are working out for Trump.
Okay, can I get a mic check?
Yeah, you're excellent, Patrick. This is my stress relief. I just go around petting horses in the field. I don't know what that is. Never heard it. All the horse girls, they laugh at me. I pet these horses. These horses love me petting them. This is my stress relief. I just go around petting horses in the field. I don't know who that guy is, but he sounds like he's on to something. Maybe if you're worried about your investments, you should go pet some horses.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay.
Liberty fucking Mutual. And
Liberty Mutual.
All right.
I'm done.
Thank you, Patrick. He's got a soundboard, guys. Let me see here.
That's like those non-reaction. He didn't even fucking hear it, so you're gonna
No, yeah. Well, he's handling something. He'll be back in a second. But so let me ask you this, guys. Everybody, retweet the space. Let's get these numbers up. They're pretty good night. 638 showing. Like I don't know, probably break 750. Okay, now I see some hands. Let's go to Joe Santos. Go ahead.
Hey guys, can someone tell me before I comment what? Because I keep hearing all night that this is going to take 3 months, or this is going to work. What is the outcome? Because I keep hearing people say it's going to work, but what is the outcome you guys expect, or one of you guys expect?
They did a lot of shooting, and they did a lot of blasting. Even not going through the front door. You think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say knock knock. May I come in?
There's the answer.
Right. I will see what Cliff's end state is. I guess my end state would be my understanding is that other countries stop ripping us off. Our dollar goes further, and our investments are strong. And essentially
ripping you off is the trade imbalance.
I'm sorry?
Ripping you off, you mean by the trade?
Yeah, where our goods are taxed and tariffed higher, and we're essentially not getting fair trade. James, go ahead.
Okay, so let me. James, you want to reply? I do want to make my point though, but go ahead, James.
Yeah. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about opening markets. That's what people don't really understand right now, is that it's about opening the world's trade back up. We have a trade deficit with every single country on this planet. There is not a single other country that we have the surplus. None. Okay, so we are fucking basically bankrolling the entire world's economies. Okay, so why are we penalized to do that? Right? So if we're going to be the central market for every other country, why are we're going to just accept the penalty where they're keeping us out of the market? For example, the big one that Trump's on right now is the automobile manufacturers. Everybody in America drives a BMW, a Mercedes, an Audi, and there's no tariff coming in on them. But not a single person in Germany drives a Ford, a Chevy, an American-made Toyota. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing. So this is at the end of all of this, it's restructuring those trade deals to where we're not going to be penalized and we're not going to be kept out of the markets, and you're not going to keep sucking on America's tit for your economy. For example, $200 billion a year trade deficit to Canada. What do you think that equals? Oh, their free health care that they love to brag about isn't so free, is it? No. We're paying for it. America's paying for it. Because they can't afford it without that $200 billion a year trade deficit. So, yeah, this is about all these people out there doing nothing that helps America, everything that helps themselves. It's like having a selfish neighbor, right? He keeps moving his fence closer and closer to your fucking house until eventually you don't even have a fucking backyard anymore, right? That's what it's about.
James, here's the thing about the trade imbalance, right? Anyone who knows anything about the economy, and I think a lot of you guys will even agree with me, is the reason why America is wealthy is because people need to buy the dollar, right? That is our largest export, right? If we could not keep printing money, and the reason why we can keep printing money is because countries need the dollar all over the world, right? That's why we can keep printing like it's going out of style. If there's a trade balance, there is no need for the dollar, right? If you sell me $100 bike and I sell you $100 painting, there's zero in reserve. I no longer need your dollar. So that is the problem when you are a global reserve currency, right? If you balance the trade with Canada, they don't need U.S. currency anymore. If you balance the trade with Germany, they don't need U.S. currency anymore. There is no reason to keep it the global reserve. They start to trade in their own currency. The biggest driver of wealth of all Americans is the dollar, because the dollar keeps getting printed. You can go look at home prices. Home prices are directly related to how much money is printed. It's directly related to inflation. Home prices have not changed when you compare it to inflation, except in markets that are considered hot markets, right? So once you have a trade balance, guess what? There is no global reserve currency need. America's biggest driver since the 70s is gone. Absolutely gone. And no one's talking about that, right? Everyone's talking about we're getting screwed because they have more. No, you're actually putting them in debt because they keep holding your dollars, right? And you keep being able to print. There was a reason we were able to print 6 trillion or whatever it was after COVID. Is because the globe bought it because of trade imbalances, because they needed the dollars to go buy the product because of the trade imbalance. And then they keep that dollar, and guess what they do when they keep that dollar in the trade imbalance? They invested in America. Go look at foreign investment in American companies. That's what they're doing it with the trade imbalance. So the biggest driver would be gone. This is not something that's going to be quick. These countries will be like, okay, maybe we raise tariffs, or maybe we just get off the dollar. It's one or the other. There is no other option except they lower tariffs. Well, there's countries that actually took away their tariffs before Trump announced it, and they still got tariffed.
Right? Noah, where do they go when they go off the dollar, buddy?
They can trade in their own currencies. That's what's happened already. 47 countries have already agreed to do so if they need to. Right? France tried to do it, and then that's when riots broke out in every city in France, coincidentally, right after they did a large trade with China directly without using the dollar.
Well, how come they didn't start doing that a long time ago, Noah?
Because all commodities were priced in dollars, and there was a trade imbalance. If there's not a trade imbalance, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, but there's another thing we do know. We enforce it at the end of a barrel of a gun. You forgot that part.
We what? Sorry?
We enforce that global reserve currency at the end of a barrel of a gun.
Yeah, of course you do. But you typically do that in.
That might be one reason they want to hold dollars, buddy.
No, but you don't hold dollars if there isn't a balanced trade, dude. That's why. If like I said, you have $100 of oil, I have $100 of gold. No one's holding any currency. We just changed zeros per zero. Balance sheet goes back to zero.
Well, you know who holds most of the United States debt? You know who holds most of the United States debt right now?
Yes, Americans do.
Yes, the United States.
Yeah, so that's not the problem. The problem is external.
No, what you're trying to say is, if you, what I just took from what you said, and maybe I'm wrong, was that if we have balanced trade, well, then they don't need your dollars anymore.
Well, there is no dollar to hold if it's balanced.
Okay, so but that's what you just so.
The balance sheet goes to zero.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is
balance sheet goes to zero.
What I'm telling you is the United States, whether it's institutional, government, or the primary dealers, we hold the majority of the debt.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking. You're talking about debt. I'm not talking about debt. I'm talking.
It's the same thing. That's what the dollar is, Noah. It's debt.
It is debt, but what's that have to do with a balance sheet where the other countries don't have to hold the dollar?
I just told you what it has to do with it.
The dollar is debt, right? But that doesn't mean that's all the debt.
Well, where's the other debt?
37 trillion in debt.
I'm missing something.
In a bunch of different countries.
No,
But
what
this
I'm
is
telling
I'm not
you
even
is
talking about debt. I
we
don't know why you're
hold
bringing debt into it.
Listen, we've been absorbing all of this paper. Sovereigns have been dumping treasuries for years now, buddy. We now hold over 60% of our own debt.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
who's the big loser if they decide that they're going to fucking take their ball and go home when it comes to trading with the United States?
Why does that make them a loser if it's balanced?
It makes them a loser because
I think you're
they need. What I'm telling you is, don't fool yourself. They need us more than we need them. That's a fact.
We're a net exporter. Sorry. When it comes to tangible assets of value and worth, the U.S. is a net exporter. You're not going to get your...
exporter of services. We're a net exporter of services.
You know what the vast majority of those services are... You know what the vast majority of those services are around?
And any economic school in the world will tell you being a net exporter of services is exactly where you want to be. Do you want to be on the $10 Nike sneaker end of things? Or do you want to be where it costs $150 because of marketing and branding and strategy and sales and everything else? Do you want to be on that end? Which is
that is not a tangible good, and that is not where the value is stored. The value is stored in intellectual property and capital. Period. You're not gonna find heavy industrial goods being manufactured in fucking Malaysia and Indonesia. You're just not gonna find it. Period. When it comes to the things that you actually have to build an economy on, the vast majority of it still comes out of the United States.
It's funny that no one addresses if there's a zero trade balance. We've talked about two other things that have nothing to do with having a zero trade balance and not needing the dollar, which therefore then America can't print more dollars. No one wants to address that. You want to?
No, I did address it. I asked you. Wait a second. Noah, hold on. Noah, I asked you what the alternative was, and you said there was. Oh, they could use their own currency. Go for it. Give it a shot.
Jack, can I make a point on this one real quick? Because again, what Joe was talking about is that same line from fucking Fight Club, right? Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can have shit that we don't need. That's exactly what he's fucking advocating for, right? No one needs another fucking cheap Chinese fucking television. No one needs another fucking Apple iPhone that they produce year after year after year, and all they do is fucking add a fucking new widget or a fucking camera to it. All right? It's this hyper-consumerism. It's this hyper-consumerism that you think a fucking economy should be based off of. And speaking for Main Street, that's not what drives an economy. What drives an economy, right, is affordable homes, affordable cars, affordable schools, affordable food, right? You've got the society, American society is so fucking conditioned to this fucking consumerism for bullshit and then throwing it away just so you can buy it again. That's not what you want to build a fucking economy off of. National defense, borders, tangible assets, and a culture and society that you can build and sustain it. Period. End of story.
Is America the greatest economy in the world?
We're the greatest consumer in the world. That's what America is.
In the world. It's the greatest economy in the world. And
it is the greatest consumer in the world.
For decades. They could be the greatest consumer. Are they this is what I mean about conflating issues. I'm talking about, are they the greatest economy in the world, and you tell me the greatest consumer? They can be both. They're not one or the other. Are they the greatest economy in the world?
What is it based on?
No. And here's why. And let me just finish this, because I've had my black hand up, I've had my white hand up, I've had my yellow hand up, and y'all thought it was a big fucking joke just to skip me all fucking night. And here's why it's not the greatest economy in the world. But here's why I don't believe it's the greatest economy in the world. Because it's all built off fucking leveraged debt. When the average fucking American has to go out and fucking do everything off of debt and can't store wealth and can't build savings and can't build something he can pass on to the next fucking generation, can't buy land, no, it is not the fucking greatest economy in the world. It is the greatest fucking con in the world.
By your standard, it has to do with how much people have saved. America is the greatest capitalist country in the world. If you want to get funded for something, you go to America. It's just the capital is America's greatest advantage. So exactly what you said is complete BS.
Generates the
You
money.
don't know what you're talking about.
No, you don't know what you're talking about, Joe, and here's why. An economy has to be based on something. There has to be a backbone that supports the economy. It's not printing dollars out of thin fucking air, okay? That's not. The base root of our economy is our manufacturing strength, our agricultural strength, and our oil reserves. That's it. It's natural fucking resources. And it's the ability to use those fucking resources. That's what people like you have forgotten over the last 50 fucking years that have strangled middle America, that have strangled the agricultural farmers in this country. Because you keep putting on regulations and fucking, nope, can't have that, and the farms go away, and the mining disappears. Oh, and we can't fucking drill our own oil, and we're crashing our own economy. It's why we're $30 trillion in debt, and it's why Donald fucking Trump has said, drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the trillions of dollars of liquid gold below our feet out there, okay? This is the part that you're not understanding. The basis of our economy is not printing fucking dollars out of thin air, okay? It's fucking out.
James, do we have an excess of oil? Do we have an excess of oil?
Natural resource goods.
Do we have an excess of oil?
Yes.
We just got it.
Okay, so then why do we import oil then, James?
It's a strategic thing. No, this is what you don't understand again.
It's not strategic. It's not strategic.
Stop condescending to me and trying to fucking act like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, okay?
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Listen to me, moron, okay? We fucking import oil for a fucking strategic reason, you dumbass. It is so that we are the last motherfuckers on the planet with oil, okay? It is to control the economy and bleed the rest of you motherfuckers dry. Okay? It's strategic in that sense. It's not for support. It's not to drive our economy. It's not because we don't have oil. It's because you have to manage it. And we're fucking doing a great job at it.
So it's not because of the fact that if America had to consume their own oil, they'd be paying $2 more at the gas pump. It's not because of that.
No.
It's not why we actually export our oil. It has nothing to do with that, James.
Supply and demand.
Nothing at all.
You have no idea what supply and demand means. None. Because
you have no idea what profitability is when you import.
Jesus Christ, man. You can't fucking let a motherfucker finish a sentence. You couldn't let Buck finish, you couldn't let Jack finish, and now you can't let me finish. Guess what? I got the God button, motherfucker. You're gonna let me finish. Okay? Well, shut the fuck up and listen for a second. You don't understand supply and demand at all. Okay? When you fucking have an excess of supply, prices go down, retard, not up. So don't fucking sit here and say, oh, if we pump more oil, you pay $2 more at the gas. That's the most retarded sentence that's come out of your mouth yet, and you've had a few.
I like how you're controlling this mic, James. And you know what?
It's funny how I get interrupted, and I'm the one interrupting. I wasn't even done my conversation, and you got to hit the mute because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Joe, we got a show, man. We got to go back and forth, bro. Listen, we're not amateurs here.
Look,
you are a rude, terrible person.
I interrupted again because you don't want to hear it.
No,
Production of American oil is higher than the one we import. Period. Our production is higher than what we import.
Right, because what we import is bullshit. We import heavy crude that we don't fucking need, but it keeps fucking Canada in business. Not for nothing, heavy crude is the most hardest fucking thing to refine. We produce fucking light crude, and we produce a shit ton of it. Not only that, we are the world's largest fucking producer of light crude. Do you have any idea how many fucking things get made out of light fucking crude oil?
Don't forget, when we have a little war going on, any kind of war, what happens to our gas prices? Because we're not in control.
We don't need heavy crude? Is that what you're saying?
No, we fucking don't. I'll give you the perfect example. Canada. Canada sells us their fucking heavy shit crude oil at a discount because nobody else can refine the shit. Canada can't fucking refine it. Good luck finding another fucking customer for that fucking shit. That's why we get it at a discount. And we're like, okay, Canada, we'll help you out. Here you go. That's just what's happening. We don't fucking need heavy crude. No. Fucking, and by the way, this is the thing that most Americans don't fucking understand. Crude oil drives the entire modern world. Everything in your fucking life is the petroleum product. The very device you're on right now is a petroleum product. The clothes you wear are a petroleum product. Hell, the
in the future, like a few years from now, to China. So let's get it done and move on. And I'm so happy. I can't wait. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Sorry, good stuff. Yeah, appreciate it. Coleman, get in there.
Hi guys, how y'all been today? You know, earlier today I heard somebody, y'all can disagree with me if you want, but I heard somebody with a very common sense suggestion. You know, if you're you know, not if you have investments, but you're not, you know, if your job isn't, you know, working, you know, those investments, you know, where you know you're buying and trading and all that stuff every day. He said, don't be looking, don't be watching, you know, the trading that's going on constantly. You know, he said once every couple of months is fine. Go in and check it out. You know, do some adjustments here and there. Then basically, don't spend so much time on the investment apps. Being like something like you know, these price picks. You know, where you're picking your football, you know, stuff like that. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself nuts. You're going to freak out over every little uptick and downturn and everything else that goes on. You know, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, that's what these people are doing. They're deliberately creating anxiety, creating chaos to make people feel uncertain about things. So that way they won't. You know, they'll make the big stick to everybody else, you know. And Nodos, you're right about a few things when it comes down to you know, Larry Summers and stuff. You know, I mean, he was you know, he worked for Bill Clinton, you know, back in '92. He's one of the architects that went down the 08 crash. You know, I mean, I spent after the crash, I spent a little over a year learning what were the causes of it. You know. And I tell you what, it wasn't like the media claimed and everything. It was, you know, like saying that it was predatory, you know, letters and stuff. It wasn't. There were predatory letters, but a lot of it came from bad government. About 70% of it was all bad government policy, sticking our nose into the mortgage markets and the housing markets where they didn't need to be. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, I mean, that's pretty much all of it. Thank you.
All right, Mark, Crypto, we've cleared all the hands. I don't know what your...
We have United Spot.
Can you guys hear me?
Barely. You sound like Patrick from the other side of the Mars.
Can you hear me now?
No.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
No.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
A little better.
What about now? I got it all the way in my mouth. It's in my larynx. Can you hear me now? I'm driving around eating granola right now, and I just thought, you know, what the fuck? You know, I got to get on this space and talk for a little bit. There's nothing like driving around eating granola. I like to keep it in a cup and put it in my mouth because the texture makes my teeth feel weird, you know? And it's either I swap off of lettuce and granola, and it's just an the dots in the ground and the trees all around with the signs and the sparkles and the cars coming by, you know, and then the homeless people walking around with the prostitutes, you know, offering a few rides. I've taken a few, you know, it's fine, but, you know, but yeah, I mean, you know, granola and the Great Reset, it's all working together.
Amazing. Just absolutely. Every time, James. Amazing.
Those guys are so fucking hilarious, dude. Like, every time they come up with some good shit. One of my favorite ones was when he did his fucking, his dad and him in the kitchen, and he asked his dad why he put the peanut butter on top of the refrigerator, and he said, "Son, you're adopted."
Oh my God. Butch, what's up, man?
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? I just want to say, Crypto, James, Mark, been listening for a long time, and I appreciate all that you do. My thought is this, is if people cannot see that this man, Donald J. Trump, is genuine, and then he literally cares about this country, and then he wants nothing but the best for every single person in it. I don't see how people, if they can't see it, they're frauds. You know? I mean, this whole thing with the tariffs, I mean, come on, man. People have been tariffing us for how long? We're the United States of America. You know? We need to just, you know, I'm all behind him. You know, I don't care. I just don't have any respect for anyone. All these lunatics running around left wing. They don't even know that what he's doing is going to help them. So they're all frauds, in my opinion. You know, and I just, you know, I don't say much. I just sit back and I listen. I listen all the time. I have my opinion, but I just don't see how people can't see that this man is genuine. He loves his country. You can see it. So what if he's a billionaire? He got that money. Okay, that's great. He earned it. You know? He didn't get it, you know, for being a dumbass. You know? And it's just...
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. That's all I got to say. God bless you all. Hey, Crypto, I just follow you all the time. Pray for your family and everything. All you guys. But, hey, I'll be around. I won't say much, but, you know, Trump, I'll tell you what, he cares about everyone. And me, the little guy, you know? And that's what made him get elected. And they can keep trying to throw him in jail, can do whatever they want. They just better get, you know, as long as he's got the people around him right now to just, you know, shut these corrupt motherfuckers, okay, you know, throughout this whole country, we just all need to get behind him, you know? And his approval ratings will go up. And I'm with James. James, I bet the whole fucking house that in September, guess what? The fucking stock market will be booming. The economy will be booming. And you know what? I'm right behind. So that's all I got to say.
And I'm writing a book. I think I wrote 12 books. All did very well.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I read it.
Thanks, Butch. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Take care. All right?
Thanks, buddy. Gonna go to NoDoz, and then I'm bringing up. I think that's one of 0 hours accounts, right, James?
I can't see it, so now I'm the one that can't fucking see shit.
All right. Well, I'll bring it up and.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Okay, got it. All right. And for those of you that don't come into our spaces often, the Enola Gay's up in the air, so you may want to take cover soon. No
Auburn Tiger.
Go fuck yourself, MD. Go ahead, no does.
I didn't have a long bit here. Just a real short question, actually, if anybody could fill me in, because I'm not a knowledgeable or an intelligible investor. But I think there's been a lot of fear over the market movements. Now, I'm wondering how much of that is due to the Doge efficiencies being created as a result of government appropriations coming out of these companies, and how much of it is tariffs. I mean, there's a lot of it that's tariffs, but I wonder, how much of this, how many of these companies that are listed on the Dow and the NASDAQ were profiting directly off of the government appropriations? Does anybody have a clue about that?
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that simple, because this is what people don't understand, right? Your GDP number includes government spending. So if you're going to remove $1 trillion from the GDP number, you have to fill in the GDP number in another way, which is why this is a comprehensive strategy. It's not a zero-sum game. So yes, you're right to notice that Doge is having an impact on the speculators in the market. Also in the, what's that GDP number going to come out for them? Because, see, these guys formulated these formulas a while ago, right? Most of these people don't have, new stuff. So that GDP number is all they watch. So if the GDP is shrinking, then we must be shrinking economically. That's not true, because obviously it's our government not spending fucking money. But where does that money go? That money goes into those defense contracts. That money, you know what I'm saying? So you're removing $1 trillion in kind of cash flow. And cash flow is king. It's not even about your total cash. And everybody that runs a small business knows that. Cash flow is where you fucking have to have it. Because you can service all your debts if you got cash flow, no matter what it is. You got no cash flow, you get screwed by some fucking reimbursed payments from credit cards. See, that was one of the big slips when we changed from an economy where the majority of Americans paid in cash to the majority of Americans paying in credit cards, because now you have a delay in your cash flow that you have to factor into the business. And then if that gets screwed even more, right?